Australian Open Life. It's our Spotlight series, Player Watch Spotlight series. I'm the bloke who walks, and today it's the ladies' turn. We're looking at the WTA Tour for this third episode of Player Watch. And we've got some interesting insights for you today. That's one thing we're going to promise you here at this Australian Open Life, is we're going to bring you some unusual, unique topics that aren't easily found or normally in the mainstream media. So if they're the kind of things that you really like to get your teeth into, stick around. And what we'll be looking at today is the WTA serve. We're not really into stats here at this Australian Open Life, but in researching this topic, we're not going to be looking at one WTA player. We're actually going to throw the whole ranking system up into the air and see what comes down, and we're going to sort through whatever lands before us. We're going to be looking at first serves, return of first serve on break points. Who is the best WTA Tour ranked? All of them, not just the top 20. Who are the best players in the world at succeeding in break points, return of serve when they're serving? So we've come up with the top 20, and today we're going to look at the top 5. So the top 5 players, and we're going to start off with number 5 first, and the top 5 players in the world. And the parameters are, these top 5 players are in the top 100 to 200. So remember that. So if you hear some unusual names, and here's the first one, Olga Danilovic from Serbia. Olga is the 21st best ranked player in the world at serving on break point. 61.7% she wins on her serve. She's got a world ranking of 135, so she slots right into our criteria. She's played 12 matches in 2021, so she's an incredibly consistent player on the tour. And she'll be possibly coming to Australia to play in qualifying tournaments, because she won't get into the main draw with that ranking. Now, the number 4 player who's best in the world at returning serve on her serve, Jamie Loeb from the USA. She's the 19th ranked best player in the top 100 to 200 players, mind you, and she succeeds 62.5% of the time. She'll save her game. Ranked 178 in the world, so she fits into our criteria, but she's only played 3 matches in 2021, so you need to bear that in mind. Now, we're not into stats here, as I said, and stats can be misleading, but we've deliberately chosen just a single criteria for this exercise, because it's interesting to see these different names popping up, and it also gives us an insight into who's on the tour beyond the well-known players, beyond the top 10, beyond the top 50. Now, the number 3 ranked player in the world for the best return of serve, for the best serve on break point to retain her serve, is Ariane Hartono from the Netherlands. Now, she's the 16th best ranked player for these particular stats on serving. She's successful 63.3% of the time when she's trying to save a break point. Now, she's 196 in the world and has only played 2 games in 2021. Now, I find that incredibly interesting, and although not really a stats person per se, even I can work out that these stats, if you rely on these and you're trying to do some analysis of your opponent, who's coming up next, well, can you really rely on these stats? Well, that's where I suppose you take in the greater summary of the game style in total. But it's interesting just to pluck these out of thin air and throw them up and see where they come down, because we came up with some really interesting names. And the next one coming up in this episode of the Spotlight series, Player Watch, And if you want to look into qualifying, we'll just quickly let you know, look for the Royal Navy Blue thumbnail that came out a couple of weeks ago, qualifying for the ATP and WTA Tour. We published that about a week and a half ago, and that's going gangbusters. And just a little commercial here that if you do want to make a one-off donation for a ground pass or part of one, that we can bring you fresh content from on site at the Australian 2022 Australian Open. The details are there with our PayPal account, so any donation received we'd be grateful for. So the number 2 player in this particular little segment that we've plucked out, the top 100 to 200 players, who are the top ranked players for serving on break point and retaining their serve. The 13th ranked best player that we've plucked out in this particular example is Rebeka Sramkova from Slovakia, and she's the 13th best ranked player in the world on this single stat on serve. When she serves on break point, she wins that point 65.2% of the time at a world ranking of 169. So it's obviously a strong part of her game, but also only 2 matches played in 2021. So you've got to take this particular stat possibly with not with a grain of salt, but are you really going to be too worried about a person that's only played 2 games for the year if you're facing them in Australian Open qualifying? I mean, maybe you want to be aware that possibly serving on break point is a strength. And so for our little list of contenders, the number 1 break point, the number 1 player in the world serving on break point, retaining their serve, is Qinwen Zheng from China. She's in the top 100 to 200. She's the 11th best ranked player in the world on this single stat that we've put together. She wins 66.7% of the time that she's serving on break point, and she goes on to win her game. She's the 125th ranked player in the world, and during 2021, Zheng has played 4 matches. And again, this top 5, these players were, this is as of the 18th of December, this list was generated. So hope you enjoyed those insights into those top 200 players. Something a little bit different that we came up with while we were researching for this particular episode of Player Watch for the Spotlight series. Now, are you wondering who the best player in the world is at the moment, as of today's recording? The best, highest ranked player in the world at at serving on break point and winning the point, the number 1 player in the world is Juliana Olmos of Mexico. Now, she doesn't fit our criteria, even though she's the number 1 world-ranked player at break point on serve. A remarkable 83.3% of winning break point, but she doesn't fit into this particular exercise at a world ranking of 678, and also only played 1 match this year. But obviously no slouch with the racket when she's serving under pressure. I'm not going to... maybe we've got it in... it's coming up in the Fast Facts. So let us know. Like, do you have are you somebody who enjoys analysing statistics? Do you enjoy hearing about who's got the beyond the fastest serve? That's a very common stat, isn't it? Are you interested in who's good on their backhand or their forehand when the commentators are sort of analysing which part of the court a player is serving to? Does that light your fire? Does that give you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside when you're watching? Or are you just somebody like me that you enjoy watching the sportsmanship, the athleticism, the preparation? I really enjoy people that are playing who... are renowned for their games, their games in terms of their sportsmanship. There's people who really put in the best effort possible are my type of players. But Might do one of these lists again. Top 5 is always a popular topic on YouTube. Anyway, so hope you're staying well as things unfold. We'll be back later on today. Our first episode of The Hit Up is on at 4 p.m. Sunday the 19th of December, which is a couple of days now beyond this podcast for this episode. So if you've got any suggestions, if there's any players that you want us to look at on Player Watch in the Spotlight series, drop the comments below. Because we'd rather act on your feedback. And we also want to know, who do you think are the qualifiers that are going to get into the main draw? Who do you think are on the fringes of the top 100 or the top 50 that are going to battle their way through the qualifiers? 17 leading tournaments up to the 17th of January. Let us know. You've been listening to The Bloke Who Walks on this Australian Open Life. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. This Australian Open Life is produced by Wise Words Media and Calumny Films.